Trade date is when we agree to terms, right? And let's say we do the trade on Monday, March 10th. So I'm going to sell my bond to you on Monday, March 10th. And let's say that this is a J and J bond. This is a J and J bond. And I say, listen, on July 1st, you're going to get a check that represents, you're the buyer, I'm the seller, that represents the entire time frame. And, not all of that money belongs to you because, these bonds were my bonds for all of January, all of February, and part of March. And you say, well, Dean, when I get the check, I'll send you your pro rata share. I say, well, listen, this is not a relationship. This is a transaction. Why don't we right now figure out how much of that money belongs to me?
Mm-hmm.
They're still my bonds on March 10th. They're not your bonds until settlement. Settlement is when ownership changes hands. So trade day is when we agree to terms. Settlement is when ownership changes hands. So you're going to be entitled to interest going forward from Tuesday onward. All right. Now, when we came up with the Uniform Practice Code, we didn't want our high talent men and women to have to remember nursery rhymes and knuckle humps about how many days have September. So, in the Uniform Practice Code for corporates and munis, every month has 30 days. The only number that can go into this first month is either a 30 or a 16. I say, Kaylee, when I got paid on January 1st, that was for up to, but not including January 1st. You owe me for all of January. You owe me for all of February. The Uniform Practice Code, we didn't want our high talent men and women to have to remember nursery rhymes, knuckle humps about how many days have September. Every month has 30 days. You owe me to
Right.
up to, but not
Mm-hmm.
including settlement, because on settlement, they become your bonds. And so, of the 180-day period, 70 of those days belong to me. So there's 70 days of accrued interest in this transaction. Now, I do have a shortcut that I think is pretty clever. And if you want to use my shortcut, what you can do is simply take settlement, which in this case is 311, right? And you could subtract the last time the bonds paid interest. As
Where did you get the 3, 10,
Mar
11?
March is the third month of the calendar year. That's where the 3 comes from.
Oh,
And if you want to
gotcha.
use my shortcut, you simply take the settlement and you minus the last time the bonds paid interest.
Okay.
And the last time the bonds paid interest was January. That's where the one's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it paid interest last on January 1. And then we simply subtract those two numbers. This is just a shortcut to do accrued interest. And so now I do boom. 1 from 11 is 10. And 1 from 3 is 2. And then you just got to remember that every month has 30 days,
30 days.
right? Accrued interest, I think it's more likely it's going to be a recognition question. And what you're going to get asked is, do you know that accrued interest is paid by the seller by the buyer to the seller? Let's say these were 8% for debentures.
Mm.
And let's say that I owned $100,000 of them. And I say, well, this 180-day period $100,000 times 8%. That means these bonds are going to pay me $8,000 in annual interest. Right. And so that means each of these checks I'm getting from Ford Motor are going to be $4,000. And I say, Kaylee,
Wow.
you're going to get a check on July 1st from Ford, assuming they don't default, of $4,000. And not all of that $4,000 belongs to you because that's the next coupon payment. If we take the $4,000, now I'm going to figure out what the dollar amount is that you owe me. Because besides the price we've negotiated for the bonds, you also owe me the accrued interest. So we divide that by 180 days. I'll figure out what you owe me in interest per day. So 4,000
Mm-hmm.
divided by 180. I say you owe me $22.22 in interest per day. Right. And so how many days were there here? There were 70 days. And so you owe me, besides the price we've negotiated, you owe me $1,540. I doubt they're going to make you come up with this number, but it's 1,500.4. So how did Dean come up with that? I said, well, you owe me. Remember, there's 4,000 for the entire 180-day period, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're getting on January 1st or July 1st. She said, well, Dean, I'll give it to you when I get it. I go, no, no, no. The Uniform Practice Code says the buyers pay sellers the dollar amount of the accrued interest. So 4,000 divided by 180 times the number of days of accrued interest. So boom. 50, by the way, rounding wouldn't matter, but depending on my rounding, it would 40 cents, 50 cents, something like that. Okay, so that's accrued interest. Again, I think that would be one question for you. I don't think it's going to be a major question for you, but it's a recognition question. All right, anything else?
Um, we talked about the foreign bonds thing, like the opposite of an ABR.
Foreign bond thing. Well, foreign bonds, you got to be careful about foreign bonds. So if the foreign bond is paying you interest in the foreign currency,
Mm-hmm.
right? Euros or, whatever it happens to be, pesos or yen,
Okay,
you have
euro
foreign
to
currency
US.
risk. Yeah, you have foreign currency risk. Second point, very low probability, but the country of origin may have a withholding tax. Right? So I say, hey, I thought that was kind of strange that you bought those Kingdom of Norway bonds, whatever, you know. And Norway has a 15% withholding tax. It's always 15% because by international treaty, everybody agrees it's going to be 15%. So I call you up and I say, hey, my Kingdom of Norway bonds, I was supposed to get 1,000, but I only got 850. They withheld 15% from me. What do I do? And the answer outside of serious advance is check with your account. But hey, we do have a general understanding of taxes. I say what we do is claim the entire amount on your tax return, and then you take a credit for what the country of origin kept. So whether it's $1,000 in interest from the Kingdom of Norway, or whether it's $1,000 in dividends from Heineken, which is a Dutch company, you would
Mm-hmm.
claim the entire amount, and then you take a credit.
I know. Okay,
And then the
that
second
helps.
is you have currency risk because you got to make sure, are you lending this foreign company dollars and you get to pay back in dollars, euro,
That
dollar?
was a question.
Are you
That's how I
lending
had a
euros
question.
and you want to get back euros? And then if you're getting lending
Mm-hmm.
euros, euro bond, dollar, not dollar bond, euro bond, you're lending them euros, You're getting paid back in euros, and then the